For a while now, I've been looking for a nice simple solution for how I can declutter my cockpit, make the environment a lot neater, allow me to mount my GoPro and iPad so they're easily accessible, but also a way that I can easily take my iPad on and off the mount so I can keep it out the glare of the sun, I can put it on my lap if I want to write some notes, and I can also just remove it if I want to have a nice open view out the front window. And today, I've hopefully found that solution. Not from Woolworths, by the way, this is just the bag that I had at home to bring this stuff in. First things first, you'll remember that I normally fly with this RAM mount. This is the Easy Roller RAM mount. I like it, it's very solid, holds the iPad well, it hasn't fallen off in flight. It's a good solution if you want your iPad to stay in there permanently, but I don't. I want to be able to take it on and off. So a company in the US, and thank you so much, who saw one of my videos, sent me, it wasn't Pivot themselves, but they sent me a pivot case. The advantage of the pivot case being is it's got this system on the back where you can slot it in and out of the mount really easily, so the whole case comes off. I don't have to pop the iPad out every single time. First impressions, it's a very rugged design. I really like the way it feels. I know that if I drop it, because I have dropped my iPad many times in the past, it feels like it's going to protect it, and I love the fact that you can easily snap the Apple Pencil onto the side of it and take it off really quickly. In my last Easy Roller RAM mount, there is a place for the iPad Pencil on the side, but it's actually quite hard to take it in and out. And if you do use an Apple Pencil while flying as well, when it's connected there, it charges the pencil, so you're never going to run out of battery. So yeah, first impressions, pivot mount is good. But how do I then mount this to the cockpit itself? Well, that's where this company, and they're called 67 Designs, have sent me some equipment to try. Now, I will just say, this isn't sponsored, they haven't paid me to make this video, but they did send me this equipment for free. So thank you, first of all, to the guys at 67 Designs. It's a small independent company in the US that makes this stuff. It's not mass produced elsewhere in the world. So I thought it's a good story behind the company, but also the solution itself looks really good, and it looks like exactly what I wanted, hence sharing with you. Alright, so we've got the iPad. It's basically a series of these little connectors and these carbon fiber rods. Now, what I like about this instantly is it's really versatile. So you can have like a long arm, a short arm, a combination of long and short arms. The other thing I do like just off the bat, and this is such a cosmetic thing, is it's carbon fiber. It just looks good. Then to attach this to the pivot, to the pivot case itself, you just put another one of these little connectors onto the end of this arm, and they've created their own 3D printed carbon fiber attachment for the pivot case. Should clip into the iPad like that. All right, let's try it in the cockpit. Okay, just after a little bit of fiddling, one thing I've done is I've changed, this is the suction cup mount that was sent with it. I've changed back to the RAM suction cup mount I have, just because this seems a little bit more solid on the window itself, but the carbon fiber arm and the pivot case mount I've left on. I think it's going to move around less in flight, and maybe it's just because I'm used to this suction cup mount, but I'm just going to try it in this configuration. And then, oh, I love that so much. That sound, that click, and this, that's exactly what I wanted, just to be able to put the iPad in, take it out, put it down next to me, take some notes, go, yep, that's fine, without having to unclip it every single time. That in itself, I think, is going to make this a winner for me. I'm in the run-up bay just waiting for the cylinder head temperatures to warm up. I don't want the iPad to warm up, so... Alright, we're taxiing to holding point Alpha 8, which is coming up here on our left. Feels nice and solid, it's not bouncing around too much whilst I'm taxiing along the ground. Bravo Tower, Echo Yankee Zulu is ready, holding point Alpha 8, downwind departure.
Echo Yankee Zulu, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff, Echo Yankee Zulu. Airspeed's coming alive on both. Temperatures and pressures are green.
Rabbit Tower helicopter, Bravo Lima Alpha is 1 to the north of Karam 700 inbound for the southern, for non-Oscar.
Being able to remove that now, just as I'm climbing out, and I know I've got traffic to the left of me, but being able to just make that space clear, that's really good. Being able to do that easy. I would never have done that when I had to unclip my iPad previously. Alright, that's 2,500, so I'm just going to come back on the power. Well, we're on the edge of Class D from Rabin right now, but I'm going to stay then in Class G, uncontrolled airspace outside, just so I can test this a little bit more. And now that I'm in the cruise, one thing I like doing is unclipping my iPad, putting it down here next to me, because the nice thing about the Cirrus is I can actually point the air vent down here at the iPad. So if the iPad's getting too hot, I can put it down there to cool it off, but it also keeps it out of the way of me here. And then if all of a sudden I do get something from air traffic control, I can easily pick it up and use it. If I need to fly the plane, I can click this back in and continue flying the plane. I genuinely love this solution. This is exactly what I was after. I'd say that's a successful test. Take us inbound via Karam, and we have information Papa. Bravo Tower, Echo Yankee Zulu at Karam 1500, inbound with Papa.
Echo Yankee Zulu Tower, join final runway 35 left.
Final 35 left, Echo Yankee Zulu.
Echo Yankee Zulu, following in Cessna, they're just over a mile in 12 o'clock.
Copied and looking, Echo Yankee Zulu.
Echo Yankee Zulu.
So I've been flying with this setup for a couple of weeks now, and after a few flights there's actually a change that I've made to all of this that I wanted to share with you. Now you may have noticed the iPad moving around a little bit on that shot I had of me taxiing out, and even though I said it was fairly solid, which it is, after a couple of flights I did notice that that longer arm meant that it probably moved around a little bit more than I would have liked. So what I did is I replaced the longer arm that you can see on the left with the shorter arm on the right hand side here. Now that gives me two advantages. One, it means the iPad is slightly further away from me, which I actually find it easier to focus on when it's not too close to my face. But also that shorter arm means there's less of a lever motion, and it means the iPad moves around a lot less in flight. In fact, this is a really solid setup for me now. I actually went on to use that longer arm on the right hand side in the cockpit, as you can see here, for my GoPro, which means it's slightly more elevated than it was before, and I think gives me a better shot of what's going on inside the aircraft. So that's the system I'm using in the cockpit at the moment, but what do you use? Leave me a comment with the system you use to mount your iPad.
3D printing for the win.
Just helps the community as a whole to see what we're all doing out there and, well, just learn from each other.